It's the Gospel on the Radio talk show. A show about dreams and visions and a church that is indeed triumphant, alive, and well.
For the church, triumphant, is alive and well.
Hello, Tallahassee. This is the Gospel on the Radio talk show. I'm Pastor Jack King. I am your host. And as I say, this is a show about dreams and visions and a church triumphant, alive, and well. We talk about the church. We talk about what God is doing in His glorious kingdom. Show number 1179 this morning. And we have a few rules. We don't talk sports, politics, or doctrine, but we do always speak well of one another. And that seems to have served us very, very well over all these years of doing the broadcast. Today, we have some very, very serious content we're going to be dealing with. I got Brother Jeff Griggs in the studio with me. He has founded a ministry, and it's called Your Children's World. And he is the founder. So, Brother Griggs, let's just kind of get into this, and let's get into a little background here of what God has spoke to you or how you have come to this point where you have founded this ministry.
Well, we call it our nonprofit. I've been in all of this, wanting to keep this down the middle with no left or right, because we want it to be where people can come, all types of youth, all types of children, all types of parents, grandparents, guardians. Long story interesting, I was at a NEBA meeting, National Entrepreneur Business Association, a fine group of people at the end of the last Tuesday of the month. They have great speakers. And that day we had our fine sheriff, police chief, and state attorney speaking. I got there late. A friend was back in the corner, said, "Here's a seat." I sat down. He had already told the lady that he had a question for her. So normally that wouldn't happen, that he asked 4 or 5 questions to people up front. So he asked this question, and then I said, "Sheriff Walt, Chief Lawrence, Jack Campbell, do y'all have a website to send parents to grandparents, guardians, to get answers for social media and online video games?"
Right.
They said, "No, we don't." I said, "Okay."
Let me just interject something real quick here, Brother Griggs. The people you've just named here, you and I know who we're talking about,
Yes.
but somebody maybe listening on the podcast has no idea who these people are.
Sheriff Walt McNeil.
Leon County.
Yes. Lawrence is our police chief.
Tallahassee.
And then Jack Campbell is our state attorney.
Okay. Great.
And they're incredible people and just good, solid men of integrity. So they said it causes all kinds of trouble. These games open up the door for violence, for cyberbullying. There's sexual themes and, things with trafficking, all kinds of inherent dangers. Mm-hmm. Well, I had no idea. But 3 years earlier, my son committed suicide. My 19-year-old son, who I felt was an all-star. My daughter, his sister, just became a doctor 4 weeks ago. Nick just graduated New York Law School and already had passed the New York bar and been an attorney. His sister Abigail's up there editing law books in New York. My brother's 2 sons are in the medical field, and successful families. But Joel seemed to be, to me, one of the superstars. He was unassuming, 6'6", handsome, down to earth, didn't do drugs, didn't drink, and he was just a good guy, and everybody loved him. But he had one weakness: video games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I am so interested in what you have to tell us about this, because I know the subject we're talking about, and in other words, I've known of others who have dealt with the same thing.
Well, here's how this kind of came about. All my life, I wondered what I would take all these different arenas I've been in. I was in insurance. I had 26 insurance agencies for 30 years, interviewed over 25,000 people. I'm probably only good in 3 things: interviewing, teaching leadership, motivation, and golf. I teach golf.
Yeah.
So I have a big affinity for fishing and golf. Long story short, though, I retired. A friend said, "Let's build a business growth company, website, social media, business consulting." We took off. We got things going. And my son at 18 moved in with us for 13 months. and he did incredible. He helped us write up some of the top restaurants, people in law and other associations. He was doing the website and sales work. Amazing to be able to do both.
No, we're talking about Joel now.
Talking about Joel Joshua Griggs.
Okay.
So Joel, after 13 months, I can't get into the details, but something happened where he went out west, and he was out there, and after 5 weeks, he was on the way home, broke up with the girlfriend. Now, I know parents and grandparents, everybody, kids go through high and low with games, apps, also relationships. Joel was down. He got home. He didn't drink, didn't do drugs, so his out was to get into video games. Well, he got home, and the roommate where he was at, his boss, who he lived with for free, no rent, utilities, anything, said the company's going to relocate us to Ohio in about a week. He went, oh my gosh. And he got really depressed and said, I'm not going back to Ohio. So with all of that, he took off and played Call of Duty. Now, Call of Duty is one of the most violent games out there, Jack. And he played it for 80 hours over 4 days.
Oh my.
Yes. And near the end, the last hour, a 13-year-old Canadian lad got on the line with him. And you can get people in Germany, all over the world they get on there. You don't even know who they are. Those are some of the dangers of stalking and cyberbullying and many of the other things that come forth. A lot of them ask for money. A lot of them track you, everything else. Joel listened to this 13-year-old, and he said, Joel, this game we played before, you can take a shot to the head and come back into the life. And he said, I don't think it works that way. But over an hour, this 13-year-old wore him down because this happened, Jack. He said, just a minute, I have the police transcripts the last hour. He said, knock on the door. He said, let me see what's going on. He said, this is my roommate. He gave me a pizza, said he's going outside to talk to his girlfriend. And he added, I saw him set his gun on the bed. And you're in this, out of it state after 80 hours, 79 hours at the time. And he told the kid that, and the kid said, well, grab the gun, and after an hour, he shot himself one time.
So the kid that you're talking about that's just grabbed the gun is a kid that's online with him.
Yes.
Not
these
physically.
online video games,
Right.
People say, they're my friends, but they could be somebody out in California or
Right.
New Zealand, anywhere, and you don't know them.
Right.
I mean, they say all the time that you have these men pose as girls or girls pose as men, all this stuff. Well, in these online video games, you got so many people from different parts that you don't know anything about them. And this is one thing about being incognito, if you want to call it. You only have your voice. So people don't know who you are, anything about you. And so all kinds of doors can be opened up. And this is where a lot of cyberbullying and stuff happens.
Right. But this 13-year-old kid could have been, it's not guaranteed that he was a 13-year-old kid because.
No, the police report showed that. But what happened not long ago was a 13-year-old across the river. I'm here tonight because of Jeff Perzak. Let me give this credit.
Right.
He and I was at the Super Bowl up in Detroit. Well, across the river right there is where this kid lived. You come back 3 miles in America, and a 13-year-old kid recently cyberbullied somebody into suicide, and there's a court case against him. But since this kid was out of the country, nothing could be done, they said. Mm-hmm. So let's flash forward. 3 years later, I'm at this meeting. Now, a friend of mine, when Joel passed away, Betsy told me, close friend said, you're going to use this someday.
No, who's Betsy?
She's on our board. Mark and Betsy are on our board, and we have a lot of great people on our nonprofit.
Okay.
So we came about. Steve Evans helped us a lot to get it all established. Then we had Ben Graybar, Mark and Betsy Scott, Karen Knotts, a lot of great people. So we wanted to make sure this is a nonprofit. Sometimes when we say our focus or mission is, they go, you're a ministry. And I can say we're not a ministry. We're out there. We're having a focus or mission to reach all the people we can. Yeah. And here's how it comes into play. I'm at the meeting. I hear the need. I said, well, I'm about to retire. I have Clarence Country Club, Southwood. I get free unlimited golf. I love golf. I fish. So I'm going to enjoy retirement. And I open up the door to do a basic small website. Then I meet with Jack Campbell for an hour twice. I meet with Lawrence, our police chief, twice for an hour, and the sheriff for 90 minutes twice. All three of these men are approachable and down to earth, but they want what's good for society. All of them said, if we had to do the site, each of us, and the school board was interested too, they would form 4 separate committees. They would take 3 or 4 months of separate meetings before they get even combined. And the sheriff said we wouldn't have a website ready till summer 24. He said, Jeff, you said you could have it ready by June of 23. Mm-hmm. I said, Sheriff Walt, he's a 35-year friend. I said, that's 4 months from now. You asked me hypothetical if I built the whole site. I said, now, wait a minute. I'm like, yo, mama, this is something pretty powerful. And then he goes, will you do it for me? And he made a little joke. He said, Jeff, I've known you 35 years. Never been about money or power. And I said, maybe power a little bit. And we laughed. Then he goes, do the whole site. And I let out a sigh. And he goes, you'll save 30 lives in the next year because this will get information.
So let me back up just a little bit. This whole thing started when you walked into that meeting that day. And evidently that discussion had been going on before you got there.
They actually started speaking when I got there. I missed the lunch, but they were just starting to speak. Okay. And they talked about the crime and the influences of technology.
So you're hearing this, and then you ask a question. They said, do you have a website?
Right. They spoke 25 minutes about the youth, the influences, cyberbullying, schools, middle school, high school, college, even elementary school. Parents are giving kids phones at 8, 10 years old. I kind of found out, Jack, that 2 out of 3 parents, when I say don't have a clue, are not demeaning them.
No.
But they look at tech as a great babysitter. Right. And they don't realize the inherent dangers of it.
And we don't understand. And we don't know the technology. And a lot of times we're oblivious to the whole thing. But now, when this happened in this meeting, and you asked a question, they said, do you all have a website? Now, you have a background in this type of thing.
Well, yeah, our small tech company, 360 Digital Business Solutions, just in Tallahassee, we probably did 200 websites, Jacksonville, Tampa, Atlanta, et cetera.
I wanted to clarify that because I know when you were going over your list of the things that you had accomplished, you may have said that, but I didn't remember.
I didn't say that. So, my experience is building websites, social media.
Yeah, so it's important that the audience know that your background is in these type of technical ways, and you have that experience. So when you asked that question to them, that was kind of a opening because they knew you and they knew you had the ability to do it. And they said, I got him on the hook.
Well, it's kind of a thing. They know my attitude and, people that know me know I'm not about money. A friend of mine made a comment to me. He said, you teach leadership motivation. You have 35 talks. He said, your 5 F's for happiness didn't include financial. I said, that's number 6. He said, what do you mean? I said, faith, family, friends, fun, and freedom. Mm-hmm. Those are my big things I focus on. Have a good vehicle. You're not going to make money digging ditches, but if you find something you're passionate about, and I advise people on careers, find something you believe in that you really have a passion, and hopefully it also pays well. But I've always put people first, and they knew that about me. Mm-hmm. So they asked me to build this. I had no idea. 300 hours later, Jack, I've been up till 4:30 in the morning, every morning, 27, 28 nights a month. After 4 months, we got this website built. But let me tell you something really wild. I called our CEO, Jay Harmon, up in Atlanta for 360 Digital Business Solutions. I said, Jay, I promised the sheriff, police chief, state attorney, I built him a website to help grandparents, guardians, and especially parents understand social media and online video games. I don't know what level to take it. I said, you think we need to go full bore? He said, absolutely. I said, what do you mean? And he said this, Jack, it was so profound. He said, Jeff, in the last year, 3 of my best friends had their sons commit suicide after being cyberbullied. And they asked me, because they knew my tech background, if I would look at their phones and their laptops to see what I saw. And all 3 of these young men had a year of breadcrumbs leading up to the day. They were literally, and their friends knew about it. This is what's sad, parents. Their friend and grandparents, the friends knew this stuff was out there because they see their social media. And they said, if nobody helps me, I'm going to kill myself next month, down to next week, down tomorrow's the day. If nobody steps in, I'm gone. And nobody stepped in, and their friends, number of them knew about it. Many didn't take it serious. Some did. My wife's a school counselor, so I understand a lot of those things, but she has to keep things very private, which she does very well with. But outside of all of this, as I dug deeper and deeper, I was overwhelmed. Games in the first generation that started out that seemed innocent enough, a little violent, by the 8th, 9th, 10th year, every year they open up more and more doors, and they get deeper and deeper. There's one game out there, they started out just robbing, taking people's cars. By the end, currently, they can actually kill the guy in the car, rape the woman, take her clothes off and attack her, and then steal the car. They dismember people, everything. When I rated Call of Duty very violent, a 28-year-old, the end of a Z generation, the alpha's 0 to 12. So it's all these alpha and Z generation. He said, you rated Call of Duty very violent. I said, what do you mean? He said, all they do is shoot people and kill people. And I said, and? He goes, oh, they got games where they cut people's hands off and they dismember them. They work their way up and their blood spurts out. I said, enough. So you don't think shooting and stabbing. And he goes, well, that's violent, but you put very violent. And it's just our filter systems. Mm-hmm. I grew up with a black and white TV, 19-inch, and we were lucky. We got a color TV. We're like, wow.
Yeah.
Now in my home, we're down to 6 TVs instead of 8, and I don't even watch TV. But I said this in all these talks I give. Jack, we live better than all the kings and all of history. They didn't have, you want to microwave something, a refrigerator, air conditioning, cars,
even bathrooms in your house. That was
fly somewhere.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it hit me one time. I drove to Madison 50 miles away in 45 minutes, going about 70. I get over there carrying 2,000 pounds of materials. I did my hour meeting, came back. So it took about 2.5 hours, the whole thing. And I thought, wow, if this was back 100 years, it would have been a 3-day journey each day.
Covered wagon.
Sleeping out in the open, no showers, cooking your own food. And yet on the way over there, I'm drinking a milkshake. I'm having air conditioning on my face. I'm playing the sounds I want to listen to. I'm talking to somebody on my speakerphone on the phone so I could hear the sounds out in California. And it takes me 45 minutes to do what would be a 3-day journey. We live so much better than the kings and queens of all the history. And yet, it's something real funny. I saw this in the Jetsons about 20 years ago. George Jetson made the comment, and I always remember this, indelible, Jack. He goes, these 3-day-a-week, 4-hour work days are killing me. And he had a bent finger from punching buttons.
And young people are saying, who are the Jetsons?
Well, some of the young people maybe know, but everybody listening, I assume, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Technology is rapidly moving ahead.
Which is good, but then we had this other side, the dark side that you're talking about, and we're dealing with here today, because this dark side is killing our young people. And if it's not killing them, it's affecting their marriages. They're affecting their relationships with their family. Some of these, and I don't know much about this, the Game of Thrones.
Call of Duty.
Okay, but there's another one called.
There's a bunch of games. There's so many of these.
But some of those you're talking
about the thing on HBO, Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And they have a game on that.
I'm just showing you how little I know. But I know that particular one will cause a young person to become very, very angry. And of course, that affects everything in their relationship. And all of these things, as you're saying, technology good, because we got all these wonderful things, but yet it's come to a place to where it's become a very, very dark part of society. And unfortunately, parents, they're not into it. They don't understand it. We don't know how to access it. We don't know what they're watching.
Well, let me put it this way. Okay. Taking care of our kids. When I grew up in Ocala, Florida, I won 10 city championships, not football or baseball, but in tennis. I almost went pro bowling. I played college golf. I was college bowling. I played tennis, racquetball, ping pong, frisbee championship, all these. My parents never saw any of that. Now, if a parent misses a practice, not saying it's good or bad, but kids have gotten so many things so much easier, and they have so many options that a lot of parents, because they have a lot of options too, they want to be able to come home from hard days at work and just unwind. And while being a mom and dad is incredible, I have a neighbor that has 4 young lads, and they're constantly at practices 6 nights a week for soccer, baseball, everything else, and the time consumption. So when the parents get home sometimes, Jack, they want to have some time.
They're wore out.
Well, if they got their child 8, 10, 12 years old, can go back and play games, they don't know sometimes. They go back in the room, they cut the laptop on, and say they're playing an online game, and before they know it, somebody from Germany or one of these other countries, or people that can speak English, and there's a lot of cussing. You'll get cyber stalking. People asking, where are you at? What town are you in? They don't know ages or anything else. So we rated on our website. The website is parentdigitalanswers.org. But we have email parentda.org. So if a parent or grandparent, anybody listening, types in parentda, 8 letters, parentda.org, they can see 4 charts on their rating 18 of the most socially popular social media apps and 15 games. They're rated in 13 areas. Now listen to these ratings. They're rated for addictiveness, social themes, violence, profanity, offensive content, lack of privacy, cyberbullying. They're also rated for online tracking, location, identity theft. And these are bad. Money involved in stranger grooming. Kids get groomed by some of these strangers that are imposters. And then there's 15 games rated.
Okay, now, what you have created through the auspices of the sheriff department, the chief of police, school. In other words, there's a whole combination of people here who have come to you and said, Jeff, create this website. And the design of the website is for parents to be able to go and be informed. Am I correct?
Parents and grandparents and guardians to get understanding, but it's threefold. Let me give the three-legged stool. Number one, you have to understand. You don't have to understand how to play the game, but understand there needs to be a balance. Are all the games bad? No. Are all the apps bad? No. But if you think about, number one, when somebody is playing on a screen 6-8 hours into the night and the parents have already gone to bed, and people from all over the nation or the world is online with them, or they're texting or sending social media out pics of themselves or cyberbullying somebody, or they gang up on people at school. Every day, they say 1/3 of the middle school kids have had thoughts of suicide that hits them. That was never in our repertoire when we were growing up, but nowadays, there's so much violence on TV, so many things there. And I look at the media and I think, where's our filter systems?
Right. Because you told me earlier, you said that a lot of times kids say, well, he goes to bed early, and parents, well, he's just tired. But they're not going to bed. I mean, they're going to bed, but they got their phones with them.
Jack, you made a great point.
Yeah.
Let me give the parents the thing. Jack brought up a point earlier, because I said parents today are giving the kids earlier and earlier. Well, so-and-so has it, so-and-so has it. So little Danny gets a phone at 10 years old. Danny's innocent, great kid, but he has a lot of friends. Mm-hmm. And these friends, a friend of mine made a point that is in the know, said within 3 or 4 days, one of his friends will introduce him to pornography. And little Danny's going, what is that? And they see this and they feel something. They don't know what they feel, but they get enraptured with it. And they were going to bed at 9, and now Danny goes to bed at 8 o'clock with this cell phone. Mm-hmm. And then, or even his laptop, iPad, whatever. And the parents are like, oh, he's going to bed early. And he's up till midnight or 1, 2 in the morning talking, texting with friends, looking at stuff he shouldn't be doing, many of them playing these games online.
Right.
And all the chemicals that are involved with this is just outrageous. And the proof is there. Melanie with Screen Strong has a whole program built around teaching about how addiction happens. And a lot of it, it's like they're addicted because of the science of the chemicals being released.
And you're talking about the chemicals that are being released from the dopamines and this type of thing.
That's the number one. Dopamine release. You got serotonin. You got other things that come out, the feel-good chemicals, and they get up to a certain point of high, and then they crash.
Which is very similar to just taking drugs.
Absolutely.
And here the parents, they've already gone to bed thinking that the child is up in the room sound asleep. In reality, they're not.
Well, in a sense, they're on, I hadn't said this before, but I'll say it now. They're on a tech high or tech drug.
Right.
And here's the point. That, I'll tell you what, Jack, I had a lady come up behind me and give me a hug. And I said, what's going on? She said, I got my son back. And so what do you mean? She said, oh, we saw the promo on NBC or CBS, ABC. They were showing Gene Deckerhoff talking about the dangers. So we went there and we saw what happened to your son when he committed suicide. And this person knew Joel and said, wait, that was the same game I'm playing. And she had told me he would come home on Friday at 4 o'clock. Couldn't even talk to him. He got right on the game, Call of Duty, played it till 4 in the morning. She was already asleep, but it was 3 or 4. Get up in the morning at 10, get back on it till 4 in the afternoon, get off of it exhausted. She goes, then I could talk to him. And she said, after we went to the website, parentda.org is the quick way, we read the charts, we saw and read the Joel story, we saw the parent rules, and he goes, Mom, I don't want to be like that. And if a person like that can commit suicide, he was strong-willed, he was a good kid. He said, I don't want to take a chance.
Right.
He gave it up. She said, he comes on Friday afternoon after school. We can sit down and talk, and I get the best of him, full energy. And she goes, it's amazing just going to the website. And all across the city and the county, I mean, because the school board and the sheriff and police department and the state attorney's office has embraced this, they want to get it all throughout the state and everywhere. The brochure on the website, on the slideshow, if you go to the website, people, you see parentda.org, easy way to remember. You see a bunch of slides, but you see a chart, and you click, it has 4 charts rating 18 social media apps and 15 games, rated in those 13 areas I mentioned earlier. And with all that, below that, you have a brochure you can click on, and it shows 2 of the charts and hyperlinks to get mental health professionals. Let's go back to the 3-legged stool. Number 1 was to bring awareness. 2 out of 3 parents, grandparents, maybe more, guardians do not have really the clue of all the dangers. They read about it, hear about it, not my Charlie, not my, Jennifer.
Right.
And then even if they maybe not their friends introduce them, and they get caught up and they get the dopamine and they get the high, and it's just like drugs. And that can also lead to some of that. But the point is, they think, well, I'm not doing something illegal. It's not alcohol, my age, I'm 10, 12, 14, not drugs, but they're on the tech drug.
Mm-hmm. And the thing about it is, again, most parents are just unaware. So the website that you have created with the, let's
charts.
say people are behind you.
Right.
These I mentioned, the sheriff's department, the police department, the
school board, the state attorney, other places too.
So this is a combination effort that you've done here. Now, some folks who are listening, you perhaps have seen the video that's airing on the TV stations here local, and I'd seen them. And I didn't know anything about them. I just saw them, and I wondered who was putting these out, because you've got Gene Deckeroff. For those who do not live in Tallahassee, and maybe you never heard of Gene Deckeroff, but he was the play-by-play announcer for the Florida State Seminoles and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
He still is of the Bucks.
Yeah, and it has his beautiful voice, and everybody in this area recognizes that voice immediately. His picture is not on the video, the show.
This is audible. He has a 30-second public service announcement,
right,
and then a 90-second narration of the website.
Yeah.
But on top of all of that, they said, you got to be the face of it. And I said, one of my agreements to do this was to be anonymous. The brochures we made, there's nothing on there with my name or contact information. And then they said, it was your son that did this.
Right, yeah.
So then I find out that 60 Minutes wants to centerpiece this, and so does CNN wants to fly it, Neil Dunn and myself and ABC.
Look, now, how did that happen?
They called Chandra Knott at the sheriff's department, and they said, we'd like to do this. And I said,
did they see the video?
The local TV station, we had the presentation, we had the thing at the state capitol. The CBS and ABC did a 3-minute video on it.
No, that's local.
Local.
Okay.
They played it in all 7 time slots, like at noon, 5, 6, 7, 11, 7, 8, 9. The national offices get all the local ones from all the different cities. They saw this, and I'm pretty stupid sometimes. And one of them was, they said there's a story behind the story. So Chandra Knight, incredible lady, the sheriff's department. They got Chandra and Ron, the undersheriff, and Sheriff Walt McNeil. They want to do something big on this. And I said, Chandra, what are they going to say? And I said, they're going to say, Jeff Griggs, his 19-year-old son committed suicide, so he decided to do something about it to help other parents, grandparents, and guardians so they wouldn't have to go through that. And my ego stepped in. I said, Chandra, I don't want my name national that way. So I said, no. A month later, she said they called back. I said, I still don't want my name that way. A month later, my main mentor, Steve Evans, and then other people on the board, were nonprofit. They said, you're paying all the bills. The funds are running out. We got to get some money coming in. We got to do some things starting in January. And I said, yeah, I got about $10,000 of my own money in this and 2,000 hours. I guess we got to get the word out that we need to get funds and it's nonprofit. So let's go ahead and do a little promotions. So NBC said, we'll do public service announcements. CBS locally and ABC said, we'll promote it. So we started getting it out. And I said, tell them that we'll do the national. There's a few things we need to finish up with all the footnotes. I have 200 pages. I'm working them down and down to 80 pages. I'm about to get it to 60 pages and put those on the site to support all the ratings and everything else. All 33 games and apps. If there's a game or app your son or daughter is playing, you can go on there and read the details. Most of them tell how the games are played. Because Call of Duty took my son, Jack. It took me 4 days, 15 hours a day, crying. I have my son's picture in all these rooms in our home. And it was just sad to me. But I said, I want to do it for my son, and I want to do it so other parents and grandparents don't have to go through this. So, got through it all. After 4 months of that, we did the promotion. Then Sid Matthews, an attorney in town, said, let's do nonprofit. He said, you control the content so people can't change it, go way left or way right with it. And I said, sounds good to me. We got a board together. And then now this thing is just exploding out there. And what I'm discovering with all of it, how widespread it is, and even adult friends.
Yeah.
They do that.
It's a huge problem. Now, let's stop right here and let you go ahead and give out any information you want to give out as far as people want to donate, how they do it, that type of thing.
Well, if they want to write a check, if they can write down, I'll give this address again in a moment, but 2888 Kilkerane Drive, Kilkerane, Kilkerane Drive, 32309. Or they can go on the website, parentda.org. We move the support down to the bottom. So at the very bottom, you'll see words apps, get involved, games. We need help if people want to get involved, and support. On support, you go there. This one we're using now, we're going to change it later. They add in a 15% fee that you don't have to pay. You just click on it, and then you go there and put 0. Takes the fee away. So if you give a debit card, any type of way, credit or anything, you get a receipt 30 seconds later with the tax number, 93 dash, and it gives the whole number out.
So if somebody wants to donate, they can go to the website. Give it again now. ParentDA.org is the easiest way. ParentDA.org. You go there. You can use your debit card, your Visa, that type
Any of them. Okay. And it takes all of them. And then you get an email 30 seconds later with your tax-deductible receipt. If you send a check to 2888 KILKIE RANE, Kilkerane Drive, 32309, you'll get mailed back. Or if you include an email at digital or a paper tax receipt.
Okay. Now, with this money, where are we going? What are we going to do with it?
Well, we have a call, take this into all 67 school programs in Florida. We also have a call to get it in all the sheriff's departments. Our brochure, believe me, is so effective. The sheriff's department bought 1,000 of them, paid for them, to use as crime prevention. The police department here bought 1,000, paid for them to use as crime prevention. Yet, there's many places that aren't paying for them. They want these brochures because they have the 5 parenting rules, which I need to get to this.
And this is the brochure that I have here now in my hand.
Right, and it's on the website, on the opening website, on the slideshow. It shows the brochure, 6 slides on 2 screens, so you can see the brochure. If you want to get a hard copy, email us.
Parental Digital Answers.org.
It's the full site, but Parent DA takes you there too.
Right. But the brochure that I'm holding in my hand right now has got a lot of information for you here.
Right.
And it's designed to be parent friendly. It has these 5 essential guidelines to help navigate children's virtual world while promoting safety and balance. And these are the things that you talked about a little bit earlier, Brother Griggs, that when you showed these to me earlier, I said, those are very, very good. And I'm just going to go over them real quickly for you. It says,
absolutely.
Always know their passwords on all their devices. Always keep the phones and devices at night. In other words, you collect the phone before they go to bed.
They'll be there in the morning.
Right. Learn to monitor search history, social media, and video games. In other words, you know that game that they're watching. That's what the point of this is. Okay?
Let me add a point with that. Okay. They change year to year. Now, I'm not going to get all spiritual or anything, but SpongeBob came out, and it was great. The third, fourth year, we had 4 of our young kids watching it, and I was amazed that they had 2 demons on the show. They said they're possessing these people, and they were acting wild. And I'm having a 7, 8, 9-year-old hear about spiritual possession from SpongeBob. Now, that wasn't a regular, but as games go along like TV, you get comfortable, and then they bring in more and more inherent dangers.
Okay, and the other one is consider tracking if needed apps and GPS locations. Always love your children. I love that. Yet this isn't about being their buddy. I like that. And then it has a parentaldigitalanswers.com. It has a phone number.
.org.
.org that Brother Griggs just mentioned a few minutes ago. So, and then, this is very, very good. So they can get this online. They can go to that website. Give it again.
ParentDA.org, you'll see in the opening slide, 13 slide show, you'll see 2 things right there. You can get the 4 charts, and then right below it, the brochure. Click, you'll pull up the brochure. It's 2 panels. You can print it out. We can also, if you got an organization, hey, I'd like to get 50 or 100 of those, we can send them to you free. This has never been about anything in money. I haven't been paid a penny. The board voted even in January to start paying me $500 a month. I've yet to receive any of that because we're still paying the bills for people doing our social media, for people in Atlanta, for different people that are working with us. So we need to get the funds out because the main thing is this, Jack. I don't care whether people want to look at this spiritual or secular, whatever way they want to put the shade on this. This is affecting all children, all demographics. Absolutely. I don't care. I taught my kids 2 things growing up. Don't ever look at people whether they're tall or short, black or white, male or female, big or little. It's what's inside of them. These stupid things about, well, their skin's a certain color, give me a break. They're a person. Second thing I told them, nobody can make you feel inferior without your consent. Mm-hmm. So if they had those 2 things, and then I teach adults one thing, I'll say this, what lies before you and what lies behind you, what lies before you and what lies behind you should be of little concern to what lies within you. We carry obstacles, our attitudes, our filter systems. We see somebody, we judge them. Shoot, 85 out of 100 jobs out there non-physical, women do a better job than men. Women can diversify, they can be aware of all kinds of things. Guys get single focused. Women ought to get paid more than men. They don't. Women ought to get more recognition than men. They don't. People say, you're being a woman's champ. I said, I'm being a reality. Mm-hmm. This is reality. Guys are great, but women are amazing, and women don't get the recognition. Well, what's sad with this, a lot of the ladies, as good heart as they are, Mom, I got to get this. So Daniel got it. And you think, well, if I get it, they'll come over here to this house. Well, if you're going to have them play those games, have it be in a TV in a public room. Say, okay, boys, you got 1 hour or 90 minutes to play that game. And then if you see cussing, sexual violence, certain things you don't really want, you can have control. But when they go back in these rooms, bedrooms, and the parents say they're busy for 3 hours, or I'm going over to Daniel's house, and you're like, did you have fun, dear? Well, yeah, I spent the night. They don't know they were up till 3 or 4 in the morning, or looking at pornography, and doing so much of this stuff that is so addicting. Right. And the dopamine, you're taking the drugs, the dopamine is the culprit, and almost all of this, as far as the addiction of it. Think about this, Jack. You look at things, some of these shows, like Big. That was one of my favorite movies, Tom Hanks, the movie Big. And they showed graphics that the kids today would snarl at. And what's coming, this is why we have a short window, people. In the next 2 to 4 years, there's a thing called AR and a thing called VR. AR is augmented reality, and VR is virtual reality. Now, let me give a metaphor for you in this story. About 5 years ago, I went to a buddy of mine's house. The person has a lot of resources. He had the latest VR virtual reality headset. He put it on. He handed me a glass of wine, actually, and said, here, put this on. I had to hand it back to him. Next thing I know, I'm surfing. I'm looking up, down, all directions, 360-degree view surfing. Then he hit a button, check this out. Now I'm hand gliding. You're talking about a rush. I could lean to the left. I start going left. I'm looking all directions, and all I see is incredible views. This is 5 years ago. You don't think technology is advanced?
Goodness, yes. Yeah.
So I've been in tech for over 13 years. Let me throw this out. I went to a conference 5 years ago in a company called Magic Leap in Orlando. I'm not demeaning the company at all. I met the 3 owners. They told me they had 100 employees the year before. They're up to 1,000. They said by the late 2000, like 28, 29, 30, we want to get augmented reality everywhere. Now, guess what this means, folks? The ultimate purpose, no more TVs, no more cell phones. Everything are your glasses. You watch a movie with your spouse, you tap your glasses. Oh, just a minute, dear, pause it. You hit your glasses. You don't need cell phones. You don't need TVs. The technology that's coming, the kids don't mind. And I'm going to throw a curve to you, Jack. I asked about 100 of my fraternity brothers and a bunch of people at FSU and FAMU and TCC, probably about 150 college kids. I said, how would you feel technology that a company in Wisconsin, they gave 50 to 100 employees a little chip in the right hand, and they walk and the doors unlock, computers cut on.
Oh, my.
And this was done several years ago, got a lot of recognition. And those 51 out of the 100 employees got extra perks and stuff. I said, how would you feel if you got a chip in your hand? Because it's coming, blockchain technology. Look up and study blockchain. And I'll go into that in a moment, Jack. But how would you feel, I asked the question, if you had a chip in your right hand and that was your credit cards, your bank accounts, no more cash, no more credit cards, you couldn't buy or sell unless you had a chip, you couldn't go anywhere without being located, all your health information was on there, everything was in that chip in your right hand, you just wave your hand at Walmart or wherever you're at, movie theaters, and everything was controlled by that chip. Every single one but one said this word. Cool. Everyone, I was astounded.
Yeah.
And it's not getting the Bible prophecy about chip in the right hand. It was the idea because they got the technology now to put chips in people, but they were so comfortable because they'd grown up with
and it's been gradual. This, and those of us who've been preaching this type of prophecies for years, we've been seeing it coming. and what you're describing right now is just absolutely amazing. I didn't know about all of this, but it doesn't surprise me at all. Because we know that, of course, I'm going to get a little religious here, but Scripture has been telling us all about it for years and years and years. And so,
well, see, the one thing I want to say, the way I look at all of this is whether somebody is religious or not, spiritual or not, everybody has their belief system. But this technology touches everybody. You can't sit there and say, well, I'm excluded because of this or this. And I'll throw an example. You put a frog in a bowl of water, he'll jump right out. You put a frog in a pot of water on the stove, and you let it warm slowly, they relax.
And that's what's been
and they're going to boil. And what's happening is when the augmented reality and virtual reality, this is one of the little Jeff sayings. I got a few of those. But it's like kids going from marijuana to crack cocaine. The show, everything's over with. If they right then are playing these video games with unbridled, there's no 1 hour time limit, hour and a half, and they get so deep with the dopamine and the other chemicals released in the body, and the high they get on is like a Mount Everest high, and they get playing, and then the new technology comes with the graphics, the sexual, the violence. Cyberbullying is going to be so easy. The stalking, all the different ratings we have are going to be everywhere. And we're going to see more and more kids. There's a guy, Jonathan Haidt, H-A-I-D-T, wrote a book called The Anxious Generation. And then another guy wrote books. And they both said between 2008 to 2012 is when everything in the world turned upside down. Okay. Freeman was his name. I forgot his first name, but Freeman, I-E-D-M-A-N. They wrote the books and they said the world turned upside down between 2008 and 2012. Now, let me give a couple of highlights. In Jonathan's book, right off the bat, the iPhone and the social media became available for every age that had iPhones. The rates tripled for girls and doubled for guys for suicides. They did every demographic across the board, every country, and everywhere, the anxiousness and the tension and the flexibility. My daughter one time had a guy come up behind her in school, and he just put his hand down her shirt, not all the way down, but did that, and she turned around and slapped him. The guy got mad, and he put out about her having a girlfriend that she didn't like guys, which was false. Well, it went all over the school before it got squelched. But something can happen, and it goes everywhere. And if people say, well, they don't even know, and a kid takes a picture of themselves naked and sends it to their girlfriend or boyfriend, and before they know it, it's all over. I mean, they are having, you got to remember this, parents, guardians, grandparents. When something goes out online, you don't use an eraser. Oh, I'll just erase it.
It's always out there forever. Yeah.
So this is so tragic. All the lives. I mean, the very fact that my CEO said that 3 of his best friends lost their sons, and if the parents had a clue, if they knew how to even just check the phones. Here's the simple thing. Just tell them, you're going to get a phone under these conditions. I have 5 doctor friends in town I text with. All 4 of the 5. Their kids have a Gab phone. That's not the only company, people, but Gab is a good one. G-A-B-B. It only does phone and text. It's not online. So they can't do social media. They can't do video games. And they say, even still, the recommendation of 15 or 16 is sound. Well, my wife Susan and I, second marriage, just got married. We said we're going to do it this way. We got married June 30th. We said we're going to have 2 no electronic days a week. Our 4 kids were 5 to 10. Bought a big, beautiful home out in Killarn. We put a basketball court in. We got horseshoes, pool, ping pong, darts, cornhole, all these different games out there. And the kids fought it the first night. No electronics, even for the parents. Second night, are we having a no electronic day tomorrow, Daddy? I said, yep. And they started thinking about things to do. About the 3rd time it happened, my 5-year-old Joel, who's gone now, and Nick, 10, were out there bike riding around, playing sports. The girls were playing in plays.
Like kids used to do.
I used to go across town when I grew up, and there was no concern. My parents did their thing, and I went across town and played my sports. How'd it go? I said, oh, I won a city title. Oh, great. Maybe the paper had it in the picture in which they usually did, Ocala. But things are so changed now. And I'm not saying you don't center your life around your children, but why put so much attention? I go to every practice, and then you give them a phone at 10. It's like giving them a gun.
Right.
A dangerous weapon, or here. Now, don't do anything. This is white powder cocaine, or this is pot rolled up in a joint. Don't light it. Oh, really? Okay. You're giving them access to technology that basically is a tech drug.
Right. Let me just tell the audience, this is the Gospel on the Radio talk show. I'm Pastor Jack King. Jeff Griggs is my guest today, giving us a lot of great information. And what we want you to know is that they have put together this website and these materials for your benefit. And also, you probably have noticed the video, I guess they call it a video, that's been showing on the television
Public
station.
service announcement's been shown over 1,000 times with Gene Deckerhoff, and then they had me do one even.
Now, how did that come about with Jeff, brother Gene Deckerhoff?
Well, I went through a period where I got in a lot of boards, and I got connected. Bobby Bowden and Jimbo Fisher from 2000 to 2018. I didn't tell anybody this, but the Let Me Mentor quarterback. See this watch right here? This is Chris Riss's national championship watch.
Really?
He was trying to make Bobby his dad. At the time, he was around all the time, and Bobby and Ann, once a year, and I would walk around the stadium. Right. So Coach said, hey, I need some help with Chris. Would you mind taking him under your mentorship?
We've got to tell the podcast audience who this guy is.
Okay, Chris Ritz was our quarterback that came in from California, a great guy.
Right.
Ron Miller was a guy that mentored him a lot. But Chris came in, and he was not understanding. Chris Winkie had us in 3 straight title games. And I told him one night that he owed me a watch, and he gave me his national championship watch when he was a redshirt freshman. And I said, why are you giving this to me? He said,
from the 98,
99, 2000. He said, we've been in 3 straight title games. He said, I'm starting this year. And I said, Chris, you're a redshirt freshman. He goes, so? I said, Coach Bowden always had redshirt juniors and seniors. Mickey Andrews and Coach Bowden, the 2 best coaches to me ever. Defense, and Bobby let Mickey Andrews do his thing with defense. Incredible man. I love Mickey Andrews. And Coach Bowden, I got to play golf and got to know him very well. And both of them, they had their system, and they could give a lot of time up. But Chris Ricks at the time, he had some things where mom and dad wasn't around. He wanted a lot of attention. So Coach Bowden said, don't pay for anything, but if you want to teach him golf or fishing, that's fine. So I did, and it worked out. He liked what I taught. He said, Xavier Lee became great friends and so forth. Jimbo found out what I was doing, said, keep on doing it, just don't pay for anything. And right when Coach Taggart came in, I had a quadruple bypass and stepped away. But I love helping and mentoring our youth. But this thing is up my alley, Jack, because, think about the history. I interview over 25,000 people. I travel around the South interviewing people in insurance, commission sales. I've been commissioned all my life, built up to 26 agencies in Louisiana, Georgia, Texas, Florida. Then I go into this business growth, helping companies build websites and how to get attention, social media and smart consulting. Don't have Gmails or Yahoo. Put it, if you're jack.com, let it be jack@jack.com.
Okay.
Not Jack Tucker 341 at Yahoo or whatever. And basic common sense things. And as we did this, I learned a lot about tech. Then I go to retire, and I'm at this NEBA meeting. And right off the bat, I didn't realize the need. And I started looking around, couldn't find websites. They were way tilted left, or they would say God's the answer, and it wouldn't give practical advice. Just seek God and you get everything solved. Or teaching LGBTQ, CRT, all these different things. And whether they're left or right, whatever people think about them, I just wanted to have something down the middle with no variance.
Practical information that
no narratives, just down the middle.
Grandmother can just go and learn, because the point to this whole thing is the fact that parents have to become more aware. They have to be more involved. They need to know what the young people are doing. They need to look at those websites themselves. So they need to maybe try playing one of those games just to get the experience and knowing.
Oh, I'm fine with that. And like we explain most of the games that are playing, but I'm going to give the three-legged stool, and I'll do it at the very end. We wanted to bring awareness, but that's the first one. We get all the school boards, mental health resources available with all the mental health counselors and other well-known ones in town that are certified. We have their websites. We have their phone numbers. We have their offices, names, addresses, everything. We have blogs on AI. So there's all kinds of resources available, but it goes beyond just saying the resources. If you don't have boundaries, you got to have solutions.
Right.
Think about the solution. If your parents say, okay, I know your passwords. You don't go to bed with anything digital. It's there in the morning. And parents, I'm telling you now, don't leave it out in the kitchen. Okay? Take it to your bedroom. If you leave it in the kitchen, there's so many stories. One mom said she was so proud of her kids. She got up one morning at 4 a.m, get some milk, and the phones were not there and the iPads. And she went upstairs and they were still playing games. And she was shocked. Wow. And this is widespread. Yeah. If you take the phones digital, you keep them in the bedroom, they get them in the morning. Okay. Gab phones, text and phone. If you're going to give phones before 15, they need to get a hold of me. Then give them the Gab phone or another one similar. You don't have to give an internet phone, a smartphone as they call it.
Right. So a phone that can make phone calls, send text, that's all you really need, is what you're saying here. Okay. So what we're wanted to make sure that the young people or the parents understand that there's help for you and there's information for you to be able to help you to be able to keep your young people away from the thing that took your son.
Well, let me make a point. I understand I wouldn't have made it in politics because certain things I don't want to compromise on, but there are compromises with this that there should be time restrictions. See, my son would be alive if I knew what I knew now. I knew he played video games, stay up till 3 or 4 in the morning. I didn't know how dangerous it was. I was foolish. I didn't research it. I'm going, well, he's not drinking. He's not doing drugs. No, but he's on the tech drug, talking to people all over the world, especially all throughout the U.S. And you don't know what age or anything about the people he's online with. And some of these games, the sad thing, we say dinner, and they go, well, wait a minute, the game's not over. And the moment we get over, it resets and another game started. And they're like, I can't leave my team. And then to try to pull them away, they reset. It's so sad, Jack, and there's a lot more with this. I don't know how much time we got left.
Well, I wanted to share this with your audience. You may wonder why this is so important to me. what Brother Griggs is telling us about and sharing with us. In all full candor, I knew Joel. Joel was one of my campers. And those of you who listen to this broadcast a lot, I'm always promoting my youth camp, which, by the way, this year is July 15 through 18.
They're great 19. Camps. Joel had a great time and was happy for the next.
Loved him. He was just so outstanding and just such a leader. And everybody on the campground loved him. And he was just like this conquering hero that had showed up at camp. And then when I got the news from Brother Parsick, and he called me and told me what had happened, my heart it just broke my heart. And to think that there may be other parents who may experience this same grief because of these games. And that's why I'm so passionate about having you here on the show, sharing what you've shared, getting people to go to this website, read this brochure, and be aware of what's happening with your children, because there are people who are out to kill them. And that's not being too passionate here. They're out to kill them.
So much of it is inherent. There needs to be balances and stuff, but let me throw a curve again to you. I had a real rough time. March 2nd, I get a call from CEO. We have to shut down the company, 360 Digital Business Solutions. I said, why? I said, COVID. I said, I got 3 techs in town, 3 administrators, 2 sales reps, none of counting Tampa, Jacksonville, Atlanta. So I lose 90% of my income. The next day, a policeman shows up and says, your son shot himself. I go, oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness.
So then 13 days later, my only brother, no sisters, falls down a staircase, cracks his head open. Zach, his youngest son, a doctor, and Ben, medical field, both of them fly down to Tampa. We had to pull the plug on him. Then I get back, and then a fine Dr. Brad Stevens in town takes my middle knuckle out of my hand and puts a steel knuckle in, and he's prescribed quite a bit of hydrocodone, which made me realize it was real serious. And I had to keep my hand upright for a long time, and then after that got through, he put a steel knuckle in my left hand. So I went through a dark period.
Wow.
Lose 90% of your income, your only son, your only brother, and then this. But yet, when life kicks you, Jack, it kicks you forward. And there's always solutions. Like I said, we live better than kings and all the history. We have so many resources, but the sunshine is still there. Games are still there. There's so many things. DeVoe Moore has a museum out there that's incredible. They got museums all around town. They got Wakulla County. They got all these springs south of here, the beaches, games and other stuff we can do. And if you do the games, folks, let me leave you with this. If you do the games, keep this in mind. Set some boundaries.
Yes.
Have it be on a TV, that if you're doing the online games or the social media, that you are there. When the kids go back to their bedrooms with their phones, you're opening potential door there. I have a good kid. Well, not every one of their kids were squeaky clean. So as much as I believe in your child and their friends maybe are great, all it takes is one to open up a door.
Yeah. Be aware.
And then it gets sad.
Be aware.
Yes. Be aware, but also have boundaries. Look at the 5 parenting rules on the site and look at the resources. We've got fine doctors in town.
Give that site again.
ParentDigitalAnswers.org, but you can type ParentDA.org because it redirects. Now, the email is info@ParentDA. info@ParentDA.org. Send us an email. If people want to say, I'd like to maybe hear more, get involved. We need more volunteers. We are a nonprofit.
And you can donate at that site.
You can donate at this site. Our tax ID number is there, 93-303-4335. All of that is on the site. You get a receipt 30 seconds later.
One more time, give the website.
ParentDA, 8 letters, mom and dad, ParentDA.org. And thank you, Jack, for bringing awareness with this. This is why I say mission focus, because we have a goal. We have an objective to get the word out everywhere.
Right. We always close the broadcast out with prayer. And Father God, so deeply concerned about this issue. Lord God, help us, Father God. I pray you use this website, use these videos, Father God. Use those who are involved in this, Father. Give them the resources they need, Father. And Lord God, let it be successful, I pray, because, Father, we want to be able to defeat this thing. And I give you the glory and praise. Father, I pray over our city. I pray for our country. I pray, God, for peace in the city of Jerusalem and the nation of Israel. I pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Brother Jeff, it's been so good to have you on the show. I appreciate you coming and sharing these things with us.
Well, I love the city and I love the people of the city. So thank you.
Well, until next Sunday morning, may the Lord bless you.